Watch this.
Do landlords have to accept rental payments from federal housing assistance programs? At least in Boise, they do, at least for now. Eliminating that option is just a governor's signature away, and Boise's mayor is hoping he doesn't sign it. Governor Little is also considering putting his signature to a bill about signature gatherers, disclosing if they are being paid. Some say it creates transparency, while others think it attacks the grassroots initiatives. Speaking of grass, Idaho has a lot of specialty license plates to choose from. Well, starting this summer, you can add one more to that list. This one with a snake and grass on it. Still not sure the DMV will allow you to put Pass Gadsden on your plate, but you know what? You could try.
The landlord actually called St. Vincent's and was like, well, I consulted with my lawyers and they said we can't take third-party checks, which is ridiculous to me. Like, I literally don't, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I have someone here willing to pay my rent and you won't take the payment.
Well, that's true. Back in September of 2022, we did a story about third-party rental payments and how some landlords were refusing to take them. Danette Brookshire, the divorced mother of three, who spoke to Andrew Bartline, was worried she would be evicted because after finalizing a divorce and losing her job in August of that year, she struggled to cover the $565 a month payment she needed to pay to park her trailer in a trailer park. So Danette was able to get some help from St. Vincent de Paul to pay her September rent, only to have it denied by the landlord, as you heard. The rental assistance nonprofit Jesse Tree, they confirmed with us at that time, under Idaho code, unless the lease agreement says differently, the tenant is required to pay the rent. The landlord not legally obligated to take money from somebody else. Then last fall, Boise City Council voted 5-1 to add source of income to the city's anti-discrimination ordinance.
What we're really hoping to see is landlords being willing to accept, again, any source of income that's lawful and verifiable so that people whose income comes in a form other than wages have a fighting chance, just like anyone else, to find a place that they can afford to rent in the city.
So this meant beginning the first of this year, landlords could no longer deny rental applications based on their source of income, like from a government agency, like a Section 8 housing voucher. This also meant they had to accept a third-party payment for rent. New rule would not apply to landlords, though, with 2 or fewer properties. Well, that code had been in effect for about a month and a half when Representative Brandon Mitchell introduced House Bill 545.
What you have before you is, in my opinion, it's a free market bill, and it's there to protect the rights of small businesses and property rights.
Well, during that House Business Committee meeting, when they passed the bill to the full House, where they do pass recommendation, Representative Mitchell revealed he had help drafting this bill from Dan Schoenberg, who co-owns Palouse Properties in Moscow, a rental management company who handles about 250 buildings with about 1,400 doors, as he put it, in the Moscow area. Schoenberg is also the chair of the Latah County Republican Central Committee. Schoenberg said this bill was about rent controls and not letting them happen in Idaho, but it's also about not allowing property owners to be forced to be part of a federal housing assistance program, to stop cities and counties from requiring landlords to accept third-party rental assistance, like those Section 8 vouchers. House Bill 545 flew through both chambers along party lines and is now awaiting Governor Brad Little's signature. But what about local control? What about Boise's new ordinance to help renters who need help with their rent? Well, straight down South Capitol Boulevard, straight south, I should say, just down Capitol Boulevard from the State House is where the mayor of Boise works. So Joe Paris asked her how this new bill, if signed into law, will impact the very people who for local change.
A proposed state law could soon override a City of Boise ordinance designed to help more people afford rentals. If Governor Little signs House Bill 545, this section of Boise Code would be no more.
You know, I was really disappointed because I've knocked on thousands of doors and had so many conversations in the last year and know that Boiseans want the City of Boise to innovate.
Boise Mayor Lauren McLean says she is proud of the work her office, City Council, and the people of Boise have done to create affordable housing.
Making sure that regardless of where your income comes from, is it a voucher? Is it an agreement from a divorce? Is it from your parents? People can't discriminate against you because of where the money's coming from for your rent. It also makes sure that a landlord can't retaliate against you if you let them know that, you need a little paint fix up or your pipes are making some noises.
Republican Representative Brandon Mitchell sponsors House Bill 545. He broke down the legislation pretty simply.
This is designed to say that we're not going to force that on any small businesses.
To borrow a popular phrase, it is a simple bill. It says, quote, Idaho property owners can't be forced to participate in an optional federal housing assistance program or any other program or law that would otherwise regulate rent, fees, or deposits.
And what type of impact do you think that'll have in the real day-to-day lives of Boiseans?
Look, it means that our kids, that the folks that, are renting, think about like working people in this city aren't going to be protected anymore. And when Boiseans have said, like, we love this place, we want you to come up with solutions together with the city council to make sure that we can have a home for everyone, prevent homelessness, keep people housed, it means that if the governor signs this bill, because the legislature targeted people in the city of Boise, that there's a little less protection for folks that live here.
So, are lawmakers trying to just target a Boise ordinance? Representative Mitchell says no.
We've heard a lot about Boise. This is to protect property owners throughout the state, not just in Boise. When Boise does something, the other areas start watching and start thinking the same way. And so it's time to make sure that we don't have it throughout the rest of the state.
Speaking of the rest of the state, what do Idahoans want? According to the Boise State Public Policy Survey for 2024, cost of living and affordable housing are the two top priorities statewide.
Not only in Boise, but the entire state. Affordability is the most important issue to Idahoans and Boiseans. The legislature, rather than doing the people's work, are targeting people and playing politics on the back of people.
Mayor McLean hopes to work with lawmakers in the future to create solutions, but for now, her work continues in the City of Trees.
What we're seeing right now are grabs at local solutions. When instead of, we need the state to fund our housing trust fund, to allow cities more tools to address the needs of their residents rather than taking away the good ideas we've come up with. It doesn't mean that I'm any less committed to making sure that people that call this place home can afford to live here, that we take care of people, because that's the role of government, is to put people first rather than targeting people and playing politics.
So, at this point, at 5:06 on Wednesday, the governor still needs to sign this legislation. Last check, it was actually transmitted to the governor. So that means that it's made it through the House, the Senate. All the I's have been dotted, all the T's crossed, Brian. So final step is just getting the governor's signature. To be honest, though, we don't know what he'll do, and it's possible that he could veto it. It's possible he could let it go into law without his signature, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Representative Mitchell, when he was talking about this bill in testimony in that first committee hearing, talked about rent control.
Yes.
Is that even a thing? It's not addressed in this bill, right?
No, so the ordinance in Boise, which this is the whole legislation's all about. The ordinance in Boise, to be very clear, did not do rent control. It didn't say that landlords could only charge an X amount or only raise rent by an X amount. That's not what this was about at all. But it's interesting that in the debate and in the testimony in committee, that's what a lot of people wanted to talk about. They are worried about landlords running up their bills, which is a problem, but that's not actually what this was about.
All right, so we'll just see. All right, so while that bill's future is determined by the governor's signature, whether or not he signs it or not, another piece of legislation is also waiting on a certain John Hancock. Governor Little's signature will impact the signature gathering process, right, Andrew?
Yeah, that initiative process to be exact, Brian. And so essentially 63,000 signatures from registered voters are needed to get an initiative on the ballot. The idea is to prove a sufficient number of people from at least 18 legislative districts want that proposed law to be up for a vote of the people in the first place. It's often called citizen lawmaking instead of relying on the state legislature. And today, the House gave their green light to a bill that requires paid signature gatherers to disclose they are getting paid. It now too moves to the governor's desk after a quick debate on the floor.
One of the things that we see is big money, interests, special interests, get a move into the state and move some of the policies that they like by throwing a whole bunch of money at hiring people to collect signatures on ballot measures or initiatives. And that's what this bill does. We're just trying to make sure that when people sign on to the initiatives that they understand it may not be a grassroots. It may be someone from outside that's paying someone to collect on these.
Anybody who's opposed to this ballot initiative can just go in and say, oh, you know what? They didn't tell me they were paid, so you got to throw out all the signatures. And how are you supposed to verify it? Are signatures supposed to wear body cams? There's no process for how you resolve this, and a he said, she said. So if we were so worried about transparency and voters knowing who's paying for what, we don't do this for any other political activity. I can spend $1 million hiring people to knock every door in my district, telling everybody that Alana Rubel is the cat's meow. But they wouldn't have to tell a soul. They wouldn't have to wear a pin or tell anybody that I'm paying them.
Representative Rubel also brought up a few other points. First, she says if a paid petitioner gathers 20 signatures and they fail just once to say they're paid, all 20 signatures would be thrown out. Rubel also questions the constitutionality of this bill. The state Supreme Court said years ago they will protect the initiative process as a right of the people from unnecessary burdens. It's unclear if this bill meets that burden standard, but citizen lawmaking group Reclaim Idaho says you have to look at the situation through a wide lens.
Well, this is not a bill that would directly affect the work that we do, because overwhelmingly our signature gatherers are ordinary volunteers. But what is very clear is that this is just yet another attack on the initiative process. Every year there are legislators who come out with legislation that attack the initiative process. Never do they consult us about it. We believe the reason is clear. They don't like citizen initiatives. They don't like citizens to take matters into their own hands. The Idaho Supreme Court declared that the initiative process is a fundamental right of the people of Idaho. And they've also signaled very clearly that they are willing to strike down any law that places a burden on that right. So any one of these bills may not, take that right away. But when they keep accumulating and they keep making it harder and harder to put initiatives on the ballot, that's where we have to worry that the initiative process could become unworkable.
The Secretary of State's office says they do not know of a single active petition in the state that is paying people to gather signatures. They understand their role in this would to be about education, teaching groups, including Reclaim, about the details of that law. It has now passed both chambers, Brian. It's going to the governor's desk, ironically, needing his signature now to become law.
Right. I think that point is made. We don't know if any agencies or organizations do pay people to gather these signatures, to stand out there on the corner on a Saturday during a market or something like that.
Reclaim says their people are volunteers.
All volunteers. I think the ones that were gathering petitions for, or signatures for, remember the monument, the Boise Ten Commandments monument? All 18,000 of those signatures also came from volunteers. So that goes back 20 years or so. Anyway, we'll see what happens if the governor signs this or not. Thank you very much, Andrew. All right, well, believe it or not, there was a time when we thought there were too many specialty license plates in Idaho. And by we, I mean our lawmakers. Back in 2020, think about that, 4 years ago, after passing a bill to allow for a Choose Life license plate, but at the same time denying a Too Great for Hate license plate, they passed a law that said no more specialty plates unless they benefit an agency of the state of Idaho. But the No Step on Snake license plate, that's a go for this session. Governor Brad Little signed Senate Bill 1317 into law this week, and this bill allows for specialty license plates based on the Gadsden flag, more commonly known as the Don't Tread on Me, that symbol there that you see being held, and those will be made here in the state of Idaho. The bill's co-sponsor, Senator Tammy Nichols, tweeting out this picture yesterday celebrating the new law. Don't Tread on Me originated from a Revolutionary War flag that represented American patriotism, but it later evolved and was repurposed during the Civil War as a symbol of the Confederacy, at least partially, when secessionists wanted to promote what they considered a second revolution, an anti-governmental symbol at the time. And so, yes, today the motto and coiled snake on grass are used as an expression of personal freedoms, especially by libertarian, conservative, gun rights, or far-right political groups who use it to express opinions as such. It's good to know the money raised from buying the Gadsden plate will go to a grant for gun safety classes for K through 12 students. And you can start buying those plates next year. As I mentioned, those proceeds going to the State Board of Education to establish that firearm safety program. Here's the thing, though, I guess. You now have government permission to purchase an anti-government plate that will benefit a government program. Well, if you don't like paying for parking and you live in Caldwell and you want to go downtown, you might want to consider walking because they're putting up parking meters very soon. If you plan to stay more than 15 minutes, you're going to have to pay for that. Abby Davis has more details and other news of the day in today's 411.
A 44-year-old man is in critical condition after he was shot multiple times early this morning. The Canyon County Sheriff's Office says he was taken to the hospital after they found the man around 7:15 on Lake Avenue in South Caldwell. The Sheriff's Office believes this is an isolated incident, and they think the victim and the suspect know each other. If you have any information, call the non-emergency dispatch at 208-454-7531. Over to the 541. Yesterday, the Oregon Health Authority launched a new website to help people looking for information about abortion care and services, regardless of immigration or Oregon residency status. Governor Tina Kotek says the new website reaffirms that abortion remains legal and protected in Oregon. The opposite is true in the 208. Idaho has one of the strictest abortion bans. Abortion is illegal in Idaho, except in cases of rape, incest, or to protect the life of the mother.
Implementation is scheduled for early May.
Sorry, Caldwell residents, you're going to have to start paying for parking this May. This week, the city is installing 89 new parking meters downtown. They'll be between Main Street and Cleveland Avenue and 4th and 10th Avenues. Your first 15 minutes are free, but after that, it's $1 an hour Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sundays are free. And that's the 411 on the 208. I'm Abby Davis.
glad we're looking at some of that beautiful sunshine from across the area, because I don't have a whole lot of that to offer you right now. We're seeing showers increase across the region, and we can expect that to continue to be the trend as we go into these evening and overnight hours. You can see some of that moisture is starting to make it out of the clouds, but not quite reaching the ground in all areas just yet. You can see things starting to look a little bit more damp towards Ontario right now. So some of that is making it to the ground there, but you can see that's also where we're seeing some higher radar returns. So stronger showers popping up in those areas. And it does look like a stronger shower is just moving through Homedale right now, but we are expecting this to just stay on the showery side, not quite the stormy side, as we don't have quite enough energy. But we couldn't rule out an isolated thunderstorm or two in the next 24 hours. So all of this moisture is ahead of a cold front that will continue to move inland tonight and continuing into the overnight hours. So for the most part, in general, for southern Idaho areas, we'll be staying on the drier side. But then when that front starts to move through in the overnight and late night hours, that's when we'll see the majority of the precipitation fall. You can see for valley locations, we are expecting to stay above freezing, which means that we will expect us to stay rain. However, for the mountain areas, we are expecting that to fall as snow. So you can see good model agreement that we do see some stronger showers before the front moves through. So that's something that we'll continue to be watching as well. And then in general for mountain areas, we're talking about mountain valley areas broadly 1/2 inch to about 4 inches of snow, but we could see more above 6,000 feet. And then as we look to when the time the front passes through, that's mainly around that 1 to 2 a.m. time frame for western Treasure Valley spots, and then going towards the Magic Valley, that's more towards 5 a.m., 6 a.m. So that's when we'll start to see the bulk of the moisture move through. After the front, things turn a little bit more to a scattered nature, and we could see some isolated thunderstorms pop up with that. And then it's a similar pattern for Friday, just a little bit less in extent, so things trending a little bit drier. But I do want to mention that for Easter, which is on Sunday, we do have a chance of seeing some more of that moisture in central mountain areas, and also for the Magic Valley. Magic Valley could even get in on a bit of a rain-snow mix at times. So, and also just across the region, things are looking to be a little bit more on the breezy side as well. But you can see those 50s are sticking around for us through the weekend until we hit Monday, and then warming temperatures take over.
All right, a lot of good comments today on this Wednesday about a variety of topics we talked about today. This one from B&B to start it off. We donate to Jesse Tree all the time. Would this mean that we wouldn't be able to help anymore? What is the real reason for this, given we have a housing crisis? This is heartbreaking. Andrew kind of answered this question, but I thought I'd share it with the rest of you because you might want to have the same question. Jesse Tree has a good relationship with a number of landlords who are happy to work with them. However, landlords who don't want to work with Jesse Tree, they appear to be free to not accept that help. So it's just kind of a depends kind of situation. But maybe Tony from Boise has another aspect of this we may not consider. Landlords who accept government money can't discriminate against protected characteristics, i.e. gender or sexual orientation. House Bill 545 allows landlords to backdoor violate the Fair Housing Act. It's a possibility. We'll have to look into that one. Is the big money behind our legislature disclosed on a regular basis? I think not. Apparently, a double standard exists, says Curtin Boise. It is actually Sunshine Laws. You can look it up on the website. I'm not sure you can just walk up to them and ask, hey, is somebody paying you and how much? But you can find it online. Sunshine Laws allow for that. So the Republicans don't want big money interests from out-of-state influence from out of state to influence state laws. Interesting. So you mean like NRA support, money, and involvement in House Bill 415, which would be the guns in schools, says Julie in Boise. It should not matter if a petitioner gatherers are paid or not. There's nothing to do with transparency. They just don't want any interference in maintaining control, says Sandy. A couple more here. Good government should be a balance between the greater good and individual rights. Our legislature is all about individual rights. Well, that means, I guess, according to David, if you're white, Christian, male. That's how that works. This is kind of the same situation from Jeff Middleton. Once again, Idaho shows its ignorance. Anti-government license plates. Idaho's too great for hate as long as you are white, Christian, heterosexual, and vote Republican. That's from Jeff and Middleton. And finally, this one from Mary. I'm thinking all Idaho women need the Don't Tread on Me license plate here in Idaho. We'll see if that happens. And we'll see you back here tomorrow.